Yo, what's up, what's up, what's up? Good morning, Facebook. This is your man, CeoShaw. And happy Tuesday. Happy going out to vote today. So, before I get into today's topic, take y'all ass out there and vote. For real, for real. You know, a lot of people feel like their vote does not count and their vote does not matter. But let me tell you something. If you want to change the direction in which our country is going, yo, your vote does count. So get out there, do something, and go vote. It's as simple as that. Get out there and exercise your freedom to vote and do it. It's a right that you have, and you should be out here voting, y'all. So today's topic, and I just got off of live.me. My broadcast ended abruptly, and I am freaking upset about that. But it's okay because I'm going to talk to you guys today about a topic that I think everybody can relate to on some level. But before I get into today's topic, I want to tell you to go like my Facebook fan page if you haven't already. It's CeoShaw, CeoShaw, hashtag I am CeoShaw. You can find me on all of your social media platforms. I'm on Facebook right here. I'm on Instagram, Twitter. I'm also on Snapchat. You can go to my Facebook, my YouTube channel too, and type in CeoShaw or hashtag I am CeoShaw or Conscious Elevation. You can also visit my website, www.imceoshaw.info. All right, now that I got all of that stuff out the way, we're going to get into today's topic, which is the dangers of expectation. The danger of expectation. Now, I want to give you a disclaimer. I am by no means saying that having expectations is a bad thing. I think there are healthy expectations and that there are unhealthy expectations. So in this video, what I'm addressing is unhealthy expectations, right? The flip side to expectation, all right? So I love to start with stories, and we are going to start with this story. So one day, there were two little boys, and these two little boys couldn't have been no older than about like 9 or 10 years old, and they were out playing on some thin ice. Okay, and as the boys were playing, one of the boys fell and dropped through the thin ice and started to drown immediately. In a state of panic and confusion, one of the boys looked off into the distance and he seen this super big, ginormous branch. He went to the tree, broke the branch off, came back and beat and broke the ice until he was able to save his friend. A little time went by and rescue got there. And everybody on the rescue team was so confused because they were trying to figure out how could a boy this big and he's so small, how was he able to get to that tree and beat and break the ice and save his friend? How was he able to do that? Everybody was perplexed and confused. And the older guy came by and he said, I'll tell you how he did it. Everybody was like, well, how? He was like, there was nobody there to tell him that he couldn't do it. Something to think about. So the question I pose to you today, as you're listening to me speak, is how different would your life be if you weren't weighed down by people's thoughts, opinions, and expectations of you? Let me turn my music down. I feel like it's too loud. Hold on. What could you do if you didn't care about people's thoughts, opinions, and expectations of you? How much differently would you show up in life? So, just kind of ponder that question. All right? So, the dangers of expectation. So I like to use definitions. And the definition of expectation is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. Again, an expectation is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. So, right off bat, what I want you to understand is that an expectation is very strong because you believe whatever it is that you're believing in, you believe that it will happen without a shadow of a doubt. So this is the first danger of expectations. I believe that most of our expectations were created a long time ago, right? And an example I like to use is when you're 15 or 16, you're in high school, and in your mind, you come up with these expectations for your future self, right? You say, well, I'm 16, about time I'm 26 in 10 years, I will have graduated from college, I will maybe have a family, my finances will be together, I'll be financially in a good position, and my career, my professional career will be in a really good place. Right? And you created these expectations when you were 16 and you were in high school. Now, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Tony Robbins. To me, he's one of the greatest personal empowerment speakers and coaches on the planet. And he talks about our blueprint and that we, at a young age, create a blueprint of what we think life should be like, right? At a certain age. And I like to liken this to our perceived reality and our actual reality. The reality we created for ourselves a long time ago and what's the actual situation right now. So you said that you would be married with kids, stable career, financially wealthy, and all this other stuff, right? But you're 26. You're moving from job to job. Your career isn't stable. Your relationships seem to just be all over the place for you. No success in relationships, and you're financially struggling and strapped. Now, I believe that in between your perceived reality and actual reality is kind of where depression is, right? Depression kind of overlaps. So you have depression, frustration, anger, sadness, and all of these other things that's in the middle of your perceived reality and your actual reality, like what's really going on right now. So one of the problems with expectations is that sometimes they are outdated. You created them a long time ago, right? And that they are not relevant to right now. Okay? So the next thing that kind of ties into that is that outside of your expectations being created a long time ago and them being kind of outdated and not representing your right now situation, is that sometimes expectations could be downright unrealistic, especially given your current situation. I'll tell you guys, and in my case, I've attempted suicide twice. I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I've been in and out of mental health clinics. I've had kidney failure. I've had a host of hospitalizations for my health issues. And a lot of that was my barrier to kind of reaching that blueprint that I created. One of the problems is that when we create an expectation, our expectations tend to not include the process that it takes to get to where we're trying to go. It's like we only see the light at the end of the tunnel. We don't see the process that it takes to get there. And then once we find ourselves going through the process, now we have to revamp our expectations and strategies because things have not turned out the way that we thought that they would, right? And a lot of times, it's not that you can't still reach that expectation. Sometimes it's just about revamping that expectation that you have to fit your right now situation. Because going back to the example of the 16-year-old setting expectations when you were 26, it is completely unrealistic to expect to accomplish a certain, like being 16 and 26 are two completely different milestones. You now at 26, you're an adult. When you were 16, you were a minor. At 26, maybe you're working on a job. And when you were 16, your parents were taking care of you probably. So to expect yourself when you were younger and you created this expectation, you created that expectation based on your mindset at 16, not 26. You have had a lot more life experiences. You've had a lot of different things happen to you between 16 and 26. You might have gotten sick a couple of times. Your health might not be the same. So you have to take into consideration that your expectations may be outdated. They may be unrealistic based on your current situation, and that you just created them at a time that things were different for you. That's why I think that you should constantly be reevaluating your expectations of you, right? And those expectations have to be flexible. I practice Taoism, right? And there is a saying in Taoism which is called Wu Wei, which is to just go with the flow of things, right? Because life is always happening to us and around us. And if your plan for your life isn't flexible and it's rigid, and you're 31 years old, believing in a plan that you created when you were 16, you're setting yourself up for failure, which goes to my next point of self-sabotage. The dangerous side of expectation is that you can engage in self-sabotaging behavior because your expectations are unrealistic, they're outdated, and they were created a long time ago. If you are still trying to be who you thought you would be at 16 and that's not the case, you got to do some revamping. But if you are stubborn and you are stuck in that thinking, you will sabotage your life. I am telling you that self-sabotage is a real thing. You can be your life's problem. And a lot of us don't admit it, but a lot of the times these self-sabotaging behaviors come from expectations that we created so long ago. Because what happens when you don't meet an expectation? You beat yourself up. You get angry, depressed, sad. Right? And then what happens? You get into a cycle of failure. Because most of us, when we fail, we blame ourselves. But again, how can you blame yourself how can you get mad at believing in an expectation that was created such a long time ago? Right? Another thing that I forgot to mention when it comes to expectations, not only are they created a long time ago, then they can be unrealistic and outdated, but a lot of times our expectations don't even come from us. You know, I truly believe that when you're born as an infant, you come here with a blank slate. And you only know what it is that you're taught. And as you get older, you tend to embody these things that you are taught. So when you embody these, the expectations that you have of yourself, 8 times out of 10, didn't come from you. They might have come from your mother. They might have come from your father. They might have come from family members. They might have come from your environment. Right? One of the things that I'm just now learning, because I'm on my path of forgiveness right now, is I'm learning kind of the root of the expectations I put on myself. Because I talk to my therapist, and my therapist tells me that I'm just way too hard on myself. And when we got down to the root of why I was so hard on myself, I found that it stemmed from my childhood. That I was constantly compared to other people. It created a complex. I tried to keep up with the identity or the accomplishments of my family. And so now, as a 31-year-old adult, I find that my expectations aren't even my own expectations. They're expectations of my mother, of my father, of my family. So my question to you is, are your expectations even your own? Does your expectations come from society? That once you reach a certain age, you should have a good job, maybe career, have a wife, a kids, and a picket fence, a white picket fence? Because if that's what you believe, then society has conditioned you to have those expectations. My question to you is, what do you want? What do you want? Because this ties into self-sabotage. If you are not in alignment and your expectations are not in alignment with who you are sabotaging your whole life. Because we were all brought here. We were all sent here for a reason, a unique reason that you're here. You are not here to live the life of anyone else except for you. So I ask you again, we talked about the little boy. Had those men been there when a little boy was there and they told him, hey, you can't go to that tree and you can't break off a limb that big and break it and save your friend, what do you think his expectation of himself would have been? Well, I can't do it. But because there was nobody there to tell him he couldn't do it, His expectation was, you know what? I'm strong enough to go to this tree, to break this branch, and to come back and say, do you know how much power you have when you're living life on your own terms and not other people's? When you are living your life for you and other people's thoughts and opinions and expectations are not a problem for you, you then are living life on your own terms. But I tell you again, self-sabotage is a very real thing, especially when who you are is comprised of everybody else. Good stuff. Self-sabotage becomes real when who you are is comprised of everybody else. That's some good stuff, man. I like to take a brief pause right here and to let you know, to ask you rather, to share my broadcast, tell a friend and tell a friend to tell another friend to tune in to Mindful Vibes with CeoShaw. I didn't kind of tell you guys about this for all of the people that are listening to me for the first time. I am a personal development coach and my author, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm on all of the social media platforms. I'm right here on Facebook. Go like my fan page, CeoShaw. CeoShaw is all one word. And find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Snapchat. You can also go and like my my YouTube channel. I have a lot of videos on there. It's a lot of older videos, but it's jam-packed with a lot of knowledge. It's tons of knowledge on my YouTube channel. And I'm going to start putting out some more content. So if you're interested in what I'm talking about and if it's blessing you in some type of way, I would encourage you to share my video so that someone else can be blessed as well. So when it comes to the dangers of expectation, we talked about a couple of things. We talked about the fact that your expectations might have been created such a long time ago that they're not even relevant to your life right now, right? That they're outdated. We also talked about the fact that a lot of time your expectations, they're not even your own expectations. They might have been expectations of your mother, your father, your grandfather, your grandmother, your aunt, uncle, friend. They might have been from society, and that it is important to live your life authentically and live your life in alignment with your core values and what you find to be things that are worthwhile in life. We also talked about how your expectations can be unrealistic, right? That they may have no basis in your life right now, in this current moment. Your situation was a lot different between 16 and 26, and you may just have to revamp the expectations that you have for yourself. We also talked about Wu Wei. I'm not sure, I can't remember if we talked about it, but Wu Wei is a Taoist philosophy, which means to go with the flow, which means that life is always happening to us and around us, and that we need to be able to have the flexibility to move with life, to roll with the punches, and to not be so rigid in our thinking that we can't change our expectations and thoughts about ourselves and who we believe that we are. We talked about self-sabotage and how living for other people and not yourself can be self-sabotaging, right? Can be self-sabotaging. So what are some things that you can do to kind of change up your these expectations? How can you make your expectations yours and not other people's? I think one of the biggest things you can do is to embrace yourself for who you are and accept yourself for who you are right now, and to be as authentic as you can be, right? Because when you're authentic and when you're being real, quote unquote, and you're being the real version of you, then you'll start to make decisions and you'll start to do things that align more with your values as a person and not your mother's, father's, aunties, uncles, society. So I think the first step in creating new expectations is to create a new you, to be authentic, to learn who you are and what works for you. I think another good thing that you could do when it comes to expectations, I lost it. Dang. Another thing that you could do when it comes to expectations is to look at where you are right now and to reframe your expectations based on your right now situation. You know, we talked about how Tony Robbins talks about the blueprint that we created. You don't have to change the blueprint, but you might have to change how you get there. It's about sitting down and reanalyzing your life and saying, this is my situation now, this is what I'm working with, and realizing that was then, this is now, and this is how I'm going to get there. Like I said, this video is not about you letting go of your expectations. It's about gaining a healthy perspective on your expectations. Accept yourself, accept your current situation, and make sure that your expectations align with your values as a person. That means you have to get to know yourself. You got to get to know yourself and what is it that you want? Where are you trying to go? Because, and this might be a little confusing if all of your expectations, if you were always living for your family, society, or friends. It might be a little rough. Because now the question is, I don't know. I don't know what my expectations are. And it's just going to take some soul searching. I'm still working on that too. Okay? So be authentic. Accept your situation for where you are right now. And if you're going to create an expectation, create simple, attainable expectations, because a lot of times when we set expectations, those expectations can be so high that when we don't meet them, we get upset, we become sad, we become frustrated. So set simple expectations. Okay? Well, you guys, that's my time. Thank you for tuning in to Mindful Vibes with CeoShaw. If you want more of this content, go to my fan page, CeoShaw, it's all one word. I'm going to stop doing my live broadcasts on my personal page, because I would like for people to be more engaged with my fan page. But share this video if it helped you in any way. Share the video so that someone else can be blessed by it. And like I like to say, stay grounded, stay spiritual, and continue to move forward. You guys have a good day.